My name is Mayana and today I'm going to be talking about my summer TBR. So before we get into the video, this video is actually sponsored by Book of the Month. Book of the Month is a super popular, fast-growing online book service for readers. Their mission is to promote new and emerging authors and to help readers discover new books. Their team vets hundreds of books each month and gives readers their choice from a curated selection of new and early release titles, so you can spend more time reading and less time researching. Book of the Month is risk-free. You can skip any month at any time and you will not be charged. They have the best new release hardcover fiction. You can get your book for $9.99 using the code Mayana, and I'll be leaving the code and the link to Book of the Month in the description. So now let's get on to the book choices of the month. So in this box we have this beautiful covers, which is We Are the Brennans. So this one is about Brennan who wakes up in the Los Angeles hospital, and she has no choice but to go back to her family. And her family is kind of upset with her because they left off on bad terms, but she then realizes that her family needs her more than she needs them. So the next book we have is The People We Keep. So this book is about this character named April who decides to pack up and move out of her small town after she does this open mic night and discovers that life has more for her. So then she moves to this place, and I think it's called Ithaca, and she falls in love with the place and the people there, and she's getting worried that like she might do more harm to the people than good. And it says that this book has a found family trope, which is one of my favorite like underrated tropes ever. So this one is about a black father, a white father, two dead sons, and a quest for revenge and redemption. Next one we have is Sister in Arms, which I'm guessing this is a black author just by the cover. Yes, it's a black author. As the first and only all-black battle lion of Women's Army Corps, the legendary 6888, these brave women risk their lives to serve with honor against incredible odds. And the next one we have is 58 Days, which is a thriller, which I'm excited for because I am always excited for Book of the Month thrillers. So this one says, 58 days ago, Claire and Oliver met in a supermarket in Dublin and started dating the same week COVID-19 reaches Irish shores. 35 days ago, when the lockdown threatens to keep them apart, Oliver suggests they move in together. Clara sees a unique opportunity for a relationship to flourish without scrutiny of family and friends. Oliver takes a chance to hide who and what he really is. Today, detective arrives at Oliver's apartment to discover a decomposed body. Can determine what really happened. Has the lockdown created an opportunity for someone to create a perfect crime? This literally sounds perfect. I'm not even kidding. Like, I don't really do like the whole pandemic COVID thing, but this sounds like the perfect idea for a thriller. So I'm excited to read this. I literally cannot wait. So yeah, that is all of the Book of the Month books this month, and thank you again to Book of the Month for sponsoring this video. Now on to the rest of the video. So I have around 50 books that I want to read and get to this summer, and I don't feel like holding up the books, so we're just gonna get to it. Good luck to editing me, who's gonna have to edit in all the pictures. But so I'm going to categorize this by YA contemporary, YA fantasy, new adult contemporary, adult fantasy, thriller slash horror slash mystery, yeah, and sci-fi. So starting off with YA contemporary, I want to read The Unexpected Everything. I was supposed to read this in May, and then I also was supposed to read this in June, which I still have time to read it, but I'm just gonna save it for the summer overall so I don't have to like stress myself and be like, oh my gosh, I have to get this done. Also, there are some books that I just want to read in general that like if I don't read them, I'm gonna push them over to fall. But The Unexpected Everything is a summer book feel. I am a mood reader. I do read by the weather, so I'm not gonna want to read The Unexpected Everything in fall, especially when I'm gonna be wanting to read more dark academia books, more thrillers, more fantasy. So I do want to get that done. Oh, I also have Darling, which is a Peter Pan retelling by Kay Akram, which is like, have to get to that. I have She's Too Pretty to Burn, which I heard is the Picture of Dorian Gray retelling, and if you guys don't know, The Picture of Dorian Gray is like one of my favorite classics. There's also Where the Rhythm Takes You, which this one is a second chance romance. Simone Breaks All the Rules, which I did just recently buy. And I have the unpopular vote, which is LGBT. And so now moving on to YA fantasies. Gear Breakers, which this one I actually don't know what this is about. I think this is actually, so the main character is a gear breaker, a brash young rebel who specializes in taking down wind-ups from the inside. When one of her mission goes awry, she finds herself in a Gadolia prison. Which, anyways, this is queer. I have Red Wolf, which does not come out until July. Which by the time this posted, it should be July, but it doesn't come out until like sometime in July. I do have a pre-order though. I have 6 Crimson Cranes, which also does not come out until July 6th. So I think by the time this video goes up, you guys should be getting the video the day before it comes out. But I also have this as an arc, but I haven't gotten to it yet. I also have the Wolf and the Woodsman, which was sent to me by Harper, and I do need to read this because Harper said they want to hear my thoughts, and like ever since then I've been pushing this book off, but I do have to get to it. The Midnight Bargain, which is in here. I'm just not pulling it out because I have a stack of books that almost just made my books fall. But The Midnight Bargain, which the cover is really pretty. I don't really remember. I have In the Raven is Dark, which is about a pansexual character, and I also heard it was poly. And yeah, she has to, I think she has to betray both a guy and a girl that she loves or something like that. But the cover is really pretty, and she's pansexual and it's poly, so like duh, I have to read it. Also the cover. This Poison Heart, which is one of my most anticipated releases of the year. This is a Secret Garden retelling, and actually I think hopefully by the time that this video is up, I should have read this, hopefully. And I also have Set Fire to the Gods, which I have on my iBooks. I don't really remember what it's about, but I want to read it. Now we're moving on to new adult contemporary. So I have Zodiac Academy, which if you know me, then you know that I absolutely love bully romances. I don't know why. I don't know what's wrong with me. It's something mentally up there. But I also have Under Lock, which is a Mariana Zapata book, and this one gets recommended to me by my friends a lot because I like Mariana Zapata's slow burn, but it's the fact that her couples don't even get together until the last chapter of the book that really just kills me. And these books are 500 pages. Like, you literally have 500 pages of slow burn, and then they get together in the last like 450. That's insane. So anyways, I want to read Under Lock because this one is recommended to me, and it says like I probably would like this one the most because it doesn't have that like super slow burn. I also have Black Sun, which I got from Jodie's video. I don't remember what it was about, but it's a new adult romance, so of course I want to read it. And I have Vibe, which is queer, and I love the cover. Like, I'm obsessed with the cover, so I have to read it, obviously. And now on to adult contemporary. So I have At Your Age, Eve Brown, which I need to get to. I'm probably the only person on earth who has not read At Your Age, Eve Brown yet. Like, it's getting pathetic at this point. I have The Dating Project, which comes out in August. I have not read the first book. What was it, like the dating play book? And I don't plan to read it because I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I haven't heard too many good reviews from that book. So I'm just gonna jump to the sequel and hope for the best. I have Well Matched, which is an arc, and it's the 3rd book in the series, and also doesn't come out until like September or something, but like I said, I have an arc. The Spanish Love Deception, which everyone on Twitter has been talking about, and it looks so good. I don't really know what it's about, but everyone on Twitter has been talking about it, and they say that the smut is immaculate. Twice Shy, which is about this girl who gets the house of, I guess her aunt, one of her family members dies, and they give her a house, and she goes there, and there's this guy who, like, you know, is working on a house. They have to work together, blah blah blah. I want to read this one, but also I heard everyone says it's a 4-star read, and there's nothing wrong with 4 stars, but I just don't really feel like going into a book where like I know it's not going to be that amazing. Like, even though I read books knowing that, I don't know, I just don't want to go into a book and like I know it's going to be a 4-star read. Like, I want to go into something like, yeah, this one's about to be a 5-star, and there's nothing wrong with 4 stars, but I just don't want to go into a book knowing that. You feel me? You feel me? It Happened One Summer, which is a Schitt's Creek retelling. It's inspired by Schitt's Creek. It's inspired by Alexis, I believe, and something happens. I think what happens is her family, like, she does something and her family punishes her by sending her to this small town. So that's where you get the Schitt's Creek's vibes, and then it's also the main character in this book acts like Alexis. But I also heard that the smut in this book and the love interest, the hero, is, I heard, is immaculate. So, and then we have Little Fires Everywhere, which I finally want to read because this is a Hulu show, and I really want to watch it, and everyone raves about this book and everyone talks about this book, and I haven't really gotten into literary fiction since last year. Like, I started reading some and I was like, wow, I love literary fiction, like the drama of it all, like everything, the discussions around it. I really liked it, and then I haven't picked up any that I bought since, which, I mean, it was like I said, I'm kind of a mood reader when it comes to like weather, so wasn't really, I could have read this in like spring though, so I don't want to blame on myself, but I do really want to get to this book. Like, I have to. And I also want to read Make a Scene, which this is the same author who wrote The Road Trip. I don't really remember what this book was about, but I like the cover and I like the artist. The artist has done a lot of covers, romance covers that I read recently, and I'm like obsessed with them, so naturally I have to read them. And then for adult fantasies, we have A Dance with the Fae Prince. Now, I did not like the sequel, A Deal with the Elf King, but I'm so dedicated to Fae that I will read this book. This will be the third book by this author that I've read. Actually, it'll be the fourth. I DNF one of them. This will be the third book by the author that I've read, and I really hope that she pulls through because I want to like this author so bad, and she is not. I'm literally giving her a chance, and she's not making it easy for me. Like, literally, I'm like, yeah, like, okay, I know I read like 8 books by this author and they're bad. I'm gonna read another one. I'm just being too nice to this author, and she's really not delivering. It's like she wants me to not want to read her books at this point. Anyway, so I have The Last Graduate, which doesn't come out until October, but I have an arc, of course. You know, your girl had to get an arc. This is the sequel to Daily Education, which was one of my favorite books of last year. I convinced my sister, who is a picky reader, to read it, and she gave it 5 stars. I convinced my best friend Jocelyn to read it, and she gave it 5 stars. So what does it say about this book? That is 5 stars. So I have to read The Last Graduate. I actually started, but the chapters are so long. There's only 14 chapters in this book. I also have Dune, which the movie got pushed back until October, and I was planning on reading this in July, and my boyfriend thinks that I will not read this book. Naturally, I have to read this book to prove him wrong, because Dune is his favorite series and he loves the books. Obviously, I have to read the books to prove him wrong, though in the end it's a win-win situation for him. Like, either he reads it and then like, yay, like I read the book and we can talk about it, or I don't read it and like he was right, but I don't want to give him the satisfaction of being right, so I'm gonna read it. I also have The Live Ship Traders, which I want to shoot for, what is like Ship of Magic, which is the second book. I want to shoot for 1 book. I actually want to do 2, but I'm gonna be realistic and say 1. I read the first book in the series earlier this year. I gave it 5 stars. I actually read a lot of Robin Hood books and gave it 5 stars, so I really need to pick up reading Robin Hood books. I really want to read the books that I have of hers on my shelf already. I have Outlander, which I'm obsessed with these covers. I actually went to Barnes & Noble today, and the covers are just so pretty. Like, they're immaculate. Like, I don't know, I just love the tone of the cover, if that makes sense. But I actually started this, and I'm already 100 pages into it. It took me a whole shift just to get to 100 pages into this book. So I'm chapter 9, and I did like what I read. It's just such a big book, and I'm still getting better at reading big books, so I just need to pick it up and like read the rest of it. But I know that this is actually like historical fiction, but I want to put it in fantasy because that's also another tag that was on Goodreads, and I don't have any other historical fiction books on the list, so I didn't want this one to be the only book in that section. So yeah, I just want to read this one by the end of summer, so I can start collecting. If I like it, I can start collecting the next book and then just buying them as I go on. But I want to in the end have a collection of these books because I think that they're so gorgeous. The next book is Warbreaker, which I want to read this one because it is suggested that you read this book before you go into The Way of the Kings. So I really want to get to this one, and then I really want to read The Way of the Kings like August. But if not, I didn't put that on my list because I didn't want to give myself too much pressure. Like, I already have 50 books on here, which I do read a lot, so it's not going to be that hard. But I wanted to keep it easy so that way I'm not stressing. I'm like, yeah, I have to get all these books, because even though I know I don't have to get all these books, I'm still going to stress myself out. So I just picked like a good number, so I can do like 25 per month, so that way I'm not too stressed, and I also could read other books that I pick up or I find or discover or whatever. So I do want to read The Way of Kings. It's not really on my list, but if I finish Warbreaker, I can hopefully start about August. If not, I do want to read it before the end of the year, so I want that to be my 1,000-page book of the year. I have Ashes of the Sun, which I forgot what this is about, but this has been on my list for a month, so I just need to read it and get it off my list. I have Fate of the Fallen, which is a fantasy book. This one actually, it doesn't have a lot of reviews, but the reviews that I have is not terrible, but they're not that good. But I still want to read it because I really like this cover, and I like the cover to the second book, and that's pretty much the only thing. And I hear it's funny though, and I like fantasy books that are like funny. And then I also want to read Blood of an Exile, which is a dragon book, and I have the second book already, and the third book is coming out soon. So I really want to get to this book so I can have read the entire series, and I really want to get more into reading my fantasy books and just getting my adult fantasy book count up. I want to read Shadow of the Gods. I actually started this book, and it was nothing wrong with it. I just started it and then put it down because I was like, I'm gonna read this at work, and then I never got to it at work. So I do want to get to this one by the end of summer, but if not, fall is usually when I'm really into my fantasy books, so I'll probably read it by the end of the year anyways, especially if I want to keep my new releases streak going. I also have A Diary of Blood on here, which has been talked about a lot. I've actually been meaning to get to it sooner, but then everybody else started raving about it, so naturally I have to get into it. Lastly, for this genre, I have The Blade itself, which I do own a copy of. It's like a more special edition copy, so I wanted one that I could read from, and if I don't like it, I can probably just get rid of the rest. It's like grimdark, I believe, and I'm not really, there's nothing wrong with grimdark, I just haven't read one that I like yet. So hopefully I like these, but I heard they're like really funny anyways. Like Yasmin B. Reading talked about this book, and ever since she's talked about this, I have to check it out. Also, Bethany from Beautifully Bookish Bethany did a vlog on these. I didn't watch the vlog yet because I want to wait till I read them, but she talked about them in one of her wrap-up videos, and I was like, like she also said it was funny, and then Yasmin B. Reading said it was funny, and so I was like, okay, like let me check this book out. Like I already have it on my list, so I want to read this one as well so I can get into the rest of the books, you know. And so the next genre I have is thriller. So I have Such a Quiet Place, which comes out in July. Don't really remember why I put this on the list, but I want to read it. My Heart is a Chainsaw, which comes out in September, but I have an arc of it. I literally begged for that arc and I got it, and I was like, I'm gonna start later, and then have not started yet. But yes, I have My Heart is a Chainsaw, which is basically like a slasher, and it's by the same author who wrote The Only Good Indians, and I believe the main character in this book, her name is Jade, and I believe she's also indigenous. So literally BIPOC getting their own slasher novel. Of course, I mean, slasher is my everything. Like I think that I would read thrillers. I mean, I read a lot of thrillers anyways, but I think I would really like call myself a thriller lover or read a lot more horror or thrillers if slasher books were more of a thing, because slashers are my everything when it comes to movies. Like they're my comfort movie, which I talked about this before if you remember. So I really just wish that like slashers were more of a thing in the book community. Like come on, authors, and stop giving me like the whole I like the Final Girl Support Group by Riley Sager. Wrong. I like the Final Girl Support Group by Grady Hendrix. It was good, but I wanted one. I mean, technically, like it was. I wanted one more in like the when it happens kind of book, though. Not like following years later and blah blah blah, or even The Final Girls by Riley Sager, like following her after years after. No, I want a slasher book. I did hear that Survivor Night is a slasher. I'm gonna wait for reviews on that one before I get into it though. And then I have False Witness, which I have an arc for, and this comes out July. I just recently read both Karen Slaughter books, and I really love those books, so I actually can't wait. I actually have an e-arc and a physical arc, it's down there, of this book, so I actually cannot wait to get to this one. And I also have Camp Slaughter, which is a slasher. I have that on my Kindle. It's on Kindle Unlimited if anybody else like is into horror / thriller and they want to check out that book. And then I have Still Howell Lake series, which I read the first two in this series. I really liked the first one, and then I read the second one like 2 years later, because I was like, well, why would I want to read after the first book I was like, well, why would I want to read this book, because I don't really care. I wasn't really into thrillers at the point when I read that book, and I was like, well, I don't really care to read a series, because why would I want to read a thriller series? Like, what sense does that make? But after reading the second book finally in October last year, it makes perfect sense. she becomes a PI and like all this other stuff happens. So I actually am intrigued. Plus the author passed away recently, so I really want to read the books. I really like the books. Like, they're one of my favorite thriller books, to be honest, the first 2 that I read. So I really want to read the rest of the books and just support the author even though she has passed away. And then I also have Plain Bad Heroes, which I do own a physical copy of, but it's all the way at the bottom of my stack and I'm not doing all that for y'all, sorry. But this one is the July pick for my book club, which is my Dark Academia book club, so if you want to join that. Also, I meant to put the Atlas 6 on this list. I just remember that because that is my August choice for the book club. So I have If We Were Villains because, as you guys know, I recently got to Shakespeare this year. This one is based off of Macbeth, I believe, which is cursed. So I really hope they implement that into the book, because now that I have my newfound knowledge of like Macbeth being cursed, like I'm really just into it. And then I also have The Plot, which Gabby from Gabby Reads recommended me, and she really talks about this thriller. She talked about this thriller in one of her live streams and she made it sound so interesting, so naturally I have to read it now. The next book I want to read on this list is To Sleep in a Sea of Stars. This book came out almost a year ago and I still haven't gotten to it. I think because I'm so intimidated by it. But I'm in my sci-fi era, so I really want to read this book, and me and Jocelyn are planning to buddy read this book together anyways, so I just want to get to it by summer. But like I said, some of these books, if I don't get to it by summer, I'm gonna put it in my fall TBR. So the next book I have is Red Rising, which is one of Jocelyn's favorite sci-fi series, or favorite series in general, I think. So I really want to read this book because we both pretty much have the same taste in books when it comes to we both really have like the same taste in books and we like the same books. So I did start this book before, but I ended up like putting it down. I started it last summer actually and I ended up putting it down. But it's not like I didn't DNF it or anything. I just like picked it up for a little bit and I was like, I'm in the mood for like romance probably, because I'll. And the next book I want is Starsight, which is the second book, and which is the second book in the Skyward series, and I really want to read this one because I actually really enjoyed Skyward. And this book is going to be as of right now, a 4-book series, and the third book is coming out in November. So I really want to get to this book before the third book comes out. Like, I know I like it, but I just want to make sure that I'm all caught up so then when the book comes out I can read it and I'll probably enjoy it. And the next book is The Big Ship at the End of the World. I really want to read that one by the in the summer. I just want to build, I basically just want to build, like, I want to read more sci-fi books and be more well read in that genre, because I'm pretty much well read in almost every genre. Like, I'm well read in YA, fantasy, YA. I won't say why I'm not really well read in YA contemporary, but I'm pretty decently read in that. Well read in new adult contemporary and fantasy and adult contemporary. I'm okay in adult fantasy, but I really just want to be more well read in these new genres that I've read within like the past year or so. And the last book on this list is The Ones We're Meant to Find. The edition that I do have it, but it was actually bought to me, like a subscriber actually bought it for me, but it's all the way in my pile and I don't really feel like digging down there. So yeah, I do want to read that one, but I didn't know it was sci-fi. I thought it was more of like a thriller, and then someone else mentioned it was sci-fi and I was like, why didn't nobody tell me this before? I would have picked it up sooner. So I do want to make sure I get to that book by the end of summer. And there's also so many books I do have, especially by Black authors that I just bought recently, that I do want to get to, but I don't want to put too much pressure on myself, so I made the list lower, even though mentally I want to read a lot more. It's the same thing I do with my Goodreads goal. I make my Goodreads goal 50, even though mentally I want to read like 200 books. But if I reach the goal, then it's like, all right, chill, I reached my goal, now I can just sit here and chill, and then I overachieve. So I mean, that's how I like to do it. But yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. If you made it this far, send me the sparkling emoji with the three sparkles. You know what I'm talking about. If you don't have that emoji, or you can't find it, you can just type sparkle emoji, like, that's okay. So thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, be sure to like this video, and I'll see you guys in my next video.